I just tipped over in the driveway going too slow.
Ready? All right. What day is it? June 20th. It's like it's been a week. I'll call the EDA meeting June 20th, 23 to order. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have an agenda. Item number 3, we need to approve the May 15th, 2023 EDA minutes. Any comments or changes or questions?
I'd move for approval as submitted.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Number 4, BR&E program update discussion.
Thank you, Julie. The East Bethel EDA has begun discussions for revisions to the current Business Retention and Expansion Program. As this program is 7 years old, it may be time to review and update the plan to reflect the new challenges faced by small businesses in the post-pandemic culture and the evolving business climate environment as it exists in 2023. The EDA is also interested in any ancillary programs that would complement and enhance the BR&E. Christine Costello, our Community and Economic Development Representative from Connexus Energy, attended our April 17th EDA meeting and reviewed the services Connexus provide through their economic development programs and discussed what they may be able to offer in the update of our BR&E program. Michael Darger with the University of Minnesota Extension Service and one of the primary authors of the current BR&E plan met with the EDA at the May 15, 2023 meeting to provide a review of potential updates and directions to the plan. Staff met with the East Bethel Chamber of Commerce at their May 11, 2023 meeting and updated the Chamber on the EDA's initiative to revisit our current BR&E program and requested their participation going forward with the update. At the May 15th EDA meeting, Mr. Darger offered several options to bring the current plan in line with changes that have occurred in the business environment since 2016, and these included the traditional BR&E approach in which they would follow the outline of the current plan, a hybrid approach to the BR&E with data updates and a revised method of business visitations, and a variation of the BR&E, which is referred to as the Ohio State Program, which is included in attachment 1 or 2 of your packet. The cost for the traditional BR&E in 2016 was $12,000. Connexus provided $5,000 toward the project, and the balance of the cost was funded from the EDA budget. Costs for other options are to be determined. Staff requests that the EDA continue the discussion of the BR&E update relative to the method and form of the report desired, the desired end product of the work, and the availability of resources needed to complete the project and implement its recommendations. So I think we had, from our discussion last time, I think we all kind of agreed that maybe just doing the traditional BR&E was probably not really what we wanted to do, but we may want to take a look at some other things. Use that as a takeoff point. The one that was discussed and I think had a lot of interest was that electronic survey is a starting point to see if we could get that and get some feedback from it. I think with the way the staffing issues are, not only with the EDA city staff, but also with the chamber, that might be the best place to start. Try to get some of that information back, and then we can discuss on how we would do visitations or what other forms we would want to use to make that go forward.
I wasn't able to be at that May 11th meeting, but did we get a good indication of the chamber's support?
No, not really. But what I want to do is when we go to their next board meeting, we want to be present and present this and ask 1 or 2 of their officers to come to our next EDA meeting, at least so they can give us an idea of what they can do or maybe some commitment as to what they'll be able to offer in the form of assistance.
You're talking about the chamber?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Because I think they're going to be a critical component in the way we approach this. And, you know, the last time we did this, you know, without their help, we would have never gotten where we did.
Right.
they were very instrumental, and of course, they had one person on there who contributed greatly, Mr. Doug Welter, who was the spark plug, the bulldog. He was the Mr. Everything in getting this done, and he did a magnificent job, so hopefully there'll be someone like him or a couple like him put together so that we can get, some things going on this to at least update what we have currently.
Yeah, because it's a big lift. I mean, thoughts from you guys? What do you?
Well, my thought is that we have all the data. The guy that was here, I forget his name, said it's probably going to be, the results would probably be similar if they did even a whole new study. So we kind of have the information we need. We should, I think we should take some of this data and go with it, what they need, what they want. We know a lot of places still have internet issues. Well, we worked on that. They want more community events. They want more communication between city and business, some of that kind of stuff. Let's work on those things. Let's have a business expo. I mean, I think that I mentioned that to some people at a chamber meeting, and they said, yeah, that would be fun. That would be great. You know, what would the cost be? I'm like, I don't know. Forest Lake just did one, and theirs was $95. I don't think we need to charge that much, but it depends on who's getting the money and that kind of thing. But because that's us helping them advertise and get their name out there and market, and it's also good for establishing a rapport between the city and businesses.
What do you think, though? Because we've got, so I think last time 47 businesses were visited and interviewed. We've got new businesses. We've got businesses that have changed. I mean, I'd love it if we could, I mean, like you said, communication. I'd love it if we could get a task force together and just do some of these visits again.
Well, I was wondering if the thing that I kind of didn't like about the Ohio State program was you're just emailing this stuff out.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think and with having visitation, doing interviews, that's great because you get to meet people, but you have to invest that time. So instead of emailing these out, why don't the volunteers hand deliver, visit the business, hand deliver the surveys, give a 5-10 minute spiel about it. The business can do a survey, say within 48 hours or a week time, and the volunteer can then set up a time to pick the results up in 1 week or something like that.
So I was on the East Bethel Jobs Committee, but were either of you guys involved in the interviews?
Not with the jobs. I did the interviews.
You did, okay.
Yeah, I probably
So
did.
did you sit down with?
The businesses.
Okay.
Yeah, I did that.
I think I had 5 of them.
Okay.
How many
Right.
businesses do we have in the city that are registered?
We do not require business licenses,
Oh, I know, but
so
just,
the only ones that would be IUPs for home occupations.
Oh, sure.
Businesses that are in commercial zones, we have a record of most of them, and we have the chamber list, but that's all we have. There's no requirements for them to register for anything.
yeah, and I think there's over 100 on the chamber list, but even if there were 100, 125, how many, do you know how many home IUPs you have?
We have approximately 80 home IUPs.
So maybe 200 if we count all the home IUPs that we would need to contact. And there's, 6 of us, so that's
Or
about,
the chamber too,
Well,
or?
yeah, I don't know if
It wouldn't be just us. It would be a group, a volunteer group.
Yeah,
that-
there was
Yeah.
a
I'm
big
not,
group
I'm not
last
sure
time.
home IUPs, I mean, I recognize that they are an incubator and they have a place, but I don't think that home IUPs necessarily should be the focus. I think the focus should be on
the commercial.
businesses that have brick and mortar facilities, and take it from there. And frankly, I'd like to see the chamber get more involved. I mean, I look at how involved I was the last time, and I didn't have a third of the involvement that Doug Welter had. Doug Welter was an absolute dynamo, the way he
Push
yeah.
forward.
Doug just moved that thing forward, and, you know, guys like me and Butler and you, and I'm thinking of some of the other people, I mean, we really just were along for the ride to a certain degree. Doug got in there and really worked. And he had a home IUP business, so it wasn't that, you know, that they got shorted, but,
Well, yeah, I think because somebody with a home IUP could be a new business, I don't think it's maybe the focus, but I think they should be included.
Julie, I fully
Yeah,
agree.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
okay.
fully agree. No,
Okay.
I'm not shorting them at all. You know, the whole idea has always been, in my mind, that IUPs get moved eventually if they, out to the highway, to a county road, something like that, as they grow, if it's appropriate,
Yep, that makes sense.
you know?
Well, one idea could be,
Excuse me.
however we want to do with the BRE, that gets focused on the brick and mortar. We come up with a separate interview list, a separate set of questions tailored just to IUPs, and that can either be dropped off or mailed out.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can see there being two very distinct large issues between brick and mortar and IUP of what they are trying to work with, they're trying to accomplish, what their needs are. So, I mean, that way we could, if we have the manpower to do this, that would be an excellent way to really dive into both of those.
Jack, what did Aaron think about this? I mean, he is I don't know, I guess I'd have to have his position clarified by Mr. Lewis. Is he a part-time interim commute?
I think Jack's is,
He's the interim community development director, and that position will be considered at the council meeting on the 26th.
Okay.
Now, again, I think the most critical component of this is not staff people here, it's the chamber. The chamber's got the greatest stake in this also. And there's a lot of things we can do to help facilitate their efforts. But if we can't get a lot of activity or participation from them, then for this to fall upon this group or one or two persons from city staff, it's probably not gonna go very far. It's gonna take a long time to do it.
Right.
We need a lot of boots on the ground to get this done in a timely
Yeah,
manner.
agreed
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Hum-
we've, oh, go ahead, Catherine.
No, that was me, but
Oh,
go
sorry,
ahead.
that was you.
I was just gonna say exactly how many people were involved in it last time.
Send the meeting minutes, it's in there. There's a list of everyone that,
There's a list, but it's not everybody too. Because they didn't have the task, my name wasn't in there, and it's like I was on the East Bethel Jobs Committee.
okay.
So, and Joey.
I mean, there were people in there that I hadn't seen for,
I would,
since
if
then,
I
you
had
know.
to guess 30. And it was like Paul Johnson from Aggressive Hydraulics. He was on jobs with me. So it was some of the business owners too, and it was other commission members. I mean, we've got planning, we've got council. So I mean, we're all volunteers here too. So, you know, if we can drum up some interest, it's for the good of the city, and just to see if we
Yeah.
could.
We have to have a good chamber meeting because the last couple, we have had such a minority of people show up. So it's,
More of an official
yeah.
one, yeah.
Maybe the breakfast ones are usually have best turnouts
Mhm.
to bring it up, and they're more formal, and we have the mayor speaks and other, usually Julie Brastad and other elected officials speak.
Right.
But Aaron and I, or one of us will be at the next chamber board meeting, which I think is on the second Thursday of the month. And we will bring this subject up to the chamber, extend invitations to come to our next EDA meeting to review that with them. And hopefully they can give us some indication of what their level of participation could be. And then from that, then I think that's gonna define what we can do and how we're gonna do it.
In terms of how would you propose it to the chamber? I missed
Well-
that last part.
Well, I think it'll, what we wanna do is we're gonna have to get some kind of commitment from them as to what they'll be able to do.
Right.
And then I think that will define then what we can strategize for what we can supplement their efforts with from city staff, EDA, or any other volunteers that want to work on this.
Yeah, we've got booster days coming up. I
Yep.
mean, that might be a good opportunity to reach out and connect with people.
You know, maybe if we had a booth there or something and
Mm-hmm.
just be able to answer some questions and see if we can solicit some help from some volunteers.
Yeah, well, I'd be willing to go up to all the businesses that are there and ask them if they'd be willing, because usually those are mostly home IUPs and maybe not even from this town, but, yeah.
Any other thoughts or?
So there's 36 people that were listed
Thank
as
you.
volunteers.
Yeah, page
It-
63
Okay.
of the packet.
Yeah, it could be missing, like you said, Julie, you weren't listed in here, so
Mhm. And
could be
Jody
missing
and
some,
Paul
but
and- So call it 45 maybe, probably.
But you know, that's a significant number, and even with that number, we just barely met our deadline in all of our interviews that we had to qualify for meeting the guidelines for the program. And it took a really, really concentrated effort at the end to pull that off, and fortunately we did, but it's gonna take a wide variety and a wide cross-section of people to get this done.
Agreed. So do we want to try it?
Yeah,
yeah, I think it's a valuable tool that we should do.
so are we gonna just kind of use the same questions that were on the last BRE, or are we gonna recreate them? Are we gonna use the ones that were presented at the last meeting? What is you guys thinking?
That might be brought forward from Mr. Darger from the U of M, as he leads the program. So that's where we got the questions last time. It was already preset.
Yeah, well, I thought
pamphlet
we
of
were gonna
questions.
kind of do this on our own and not use them and have to pay any money.
But
That's what I'm
we
thinking.
get all the data and we actually give it to them, and they go through it and process it into a report that we can actually use.
Well,
They do the data crunching.
the other thing too with the questions, to me, I'd like to review them and maybe have some people in the business community review them to see if they have any others that they think are pertinent.
I think that's smart, yeah.
Again, you know, the business climate has changed a lot in 7 years. I mean, and I'm just not blaming it all on COVID, but, you know, with the features for more online activity, that usually refers or is more concentrated on retail, but, you know, one of the big things, and I don't think it's changed much in 7 years, is gonna be the focus on attracting and retaining workers and labor. It would be good, I think, to have at least a couple of people from that community review it to see if there's anything that they have particularly in mind that's a commonality and a common thread in those questions that we can ask. I think we need to take a look at them ourselves and make sure they're up to date and kind of reflect what we're facing as conditions here now.
Right. Yeah, there could be whole new topics. Yeah, I guess that's the next question regarding the cost, or do we do it, and what's the analysis, and
Just because it's not thousands, I think it's not hard to go through 100 or 200 surveys and get a trend. I really don't think we need to pay somebody to, if it were Blaine or Minneapolis or a big city, I would understand paying, but there's just gonna be 100 or so answers, and I think we can figure this out ourselves. I think we've got the brain power right here.
Well, and there may be things you want to involve some other people in that you may have to pay them some. But I think the first thing we gotta do is get whatever we got from the commitment from the chamber, figure out exactly what we're gonna do, and then we'll know better what our strategy's gonna be.
And it would be interesting to talk to Christine Costello from Connexus, because when she was in the public sector at Cottage Grove, she did this twice herself. And just to get her input on, okay, so we're gonna try to do this here, you know, somebody who's been through the process. I'd love her input too.
That's a good idea. I take a look and, you know, it's page 26 of the packet, page 16 of the report. That's where they have the matrix of what the difference important, the quantifying the importance of different items. And I look at, you know, how all those things in the lower left-hand corner, those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those things are all low satisfaction, high importance. I'd be curious to see how we have done on that. And a lot of that is beyond our control insofar as, you know, we've always been fighting with the telecommunications companies to try to get better internet service. And a lot of the other things have gotten better. I mean, there's sewer and water now so that you can have that if that's what your business needs and you're willing to go in and into that area. Availability of buildings, I mean, that's always going to be, it's a tough one. And who wants to build a spec building right now with interest rates the way they are? I mean, so I think that we need to look at that, and things that we were good on, we don't need to question as much on those.
Well, the next step, I believe, would be like you were saying, Jack, talk to the chamber, gauge their response, then we can really figure out what we want to do.
And I'll see if Christine can come to our next meeting too,
That would be,
which, by the way, will be in July. Does anybody have any vacation plans for the third Monday in July? So, just so we know, if we invite Christine, I'd like for everybody to be here that can be here.
I'm around
All right.
July, yeah.
I'm around. I'm gone the next 2 weekends, but
I'll reach out to her and
Okay,
encourage her to come, and she said she'd try to be here at all of our meetings if we could give her an invitation, so. We'll reach out to the chamber and Christine, and then we can kind of gauge everybody's interest and perhaps their commitment level, and then we'll know a little bit more in what direction we can go.
How about if we invite someone from the chamber to that next meeting that we have on that, so that we can get them in on the ground floor?
Yeah, that's what I want to do. We're going to meet with them at their board meeting, but at their board meeting, we're going to solicit 2 or 3 of them to try to come to our EDA meeting.
Yeah.
So we can get all the players in one room.
Yeah.
perfect. Anything else? Is that what you
That's-
need from us?
I think that's the direction we need to get started and at least know where we're gonna go with this, what the possibilities are and what our options will be.
Sounds good. Thank you. And I am so sorry. I totally meant to welcome Kevin Lewis to the EDA board. Congratulations.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No sweat.
Item number 5, city communications survey report.
At the recommendation of City Council and Councilmember Lewis, then Councilmember Lewis, staff developed a survey regarding methods of communication used by the city of East Bethel and how residents receive news and information about what is happening in the city. The survey started in April and was available for responses through May 26th. Although the survey was created for online responses, efforts were made to make the survey accessible to all, since not all citizens may have access to complete the survey online. The survey was promoted on the city's website, was sent out to the email subscriber list. It was also promoted to Springtown Hall meeting in the city newsletter and was communicated it was available in paper form if individuals preferred this response method. In total, 76 responses were received. Although the response rate is only a small portion of our population, the feedback provided is sufficient to draw some conclusions and provide recommendations to improve communications among citizens. Questions included in the survey allowed residents to provide feedback on the city's current communication efforts with citizens and recommendations for improvement. It targeted the specific methods of communications and type of information that is provided and requested community engagement and additional suggestions. City Council reviewed the results of the communication survey as exhibited in Attachment 1 to discuss how to address the responses. The more important points that the survey revealed are: the city website is underutilized as a communication source. There appears to be more desire for public meetings. More information was requested for development and public works projects. And other types of information desired included alerts and notifications, public hearing notices, and code enforcement matters. Attachment 2 in your packet contains the draft minutes of the council's discussion of this matter, so you can get a little bit more in-depth direction on the council's response to the survey. City Council directed staff to request the EDA to review and provide comments on the survey and include but not limit those recommendations to utilization of consultants to assist in improving our communications effort with residents, the use of electronic and print means of communication, and what the EDA's role could be in the implementation of communication improvements. Staff is requesting that the EDA review the results of the communication survey exhibited in Attachment 1 and provide comments and recommendations to the City Council as to options for communication improvements. I'll pull Attachment 1 up here so we can kind of go over the results of. The first question on the survey is, do you live in East Bethel? And of the 76 respondents, 75 did. The one that didn't live in East Bethel was Carrie Frost, the administrator who did the survey, and she just had to log in to check it. So it was essentially all city residents that responded. The other question was, which sources do you prefer to use when seeking information about the city of East Bethel? Check all that apply. From this chart right here, it appears that the city newsletter was the most popular source for obtaining information, the city website being second, social media, which was our Facebook page and Nextdoor page, was third, and our email blast list was the fourth one. As you can see, local newspapers, public meetings, cable access channel 10, and the reader board comprised very little of that category. The third question was, which type of news information would you like the city to share more of? From that, we see that most of the things they wanted to see were upcoming community development projects, upcoming public works projects, code enforcement issues, alerts and notifications, meeting and public hearing notices. So that kind of gives an idea of what most people were interested in. The fourth question is, how often do you visit the City of East Bethel's website? This is the one that was kind of somewhat disappointing, because there's about 74% of the people that just use this a few times a year or never use it, and 88% that only use it a few times a month or less. So we're not getting out of our website what we hope to, is a communications tool. The last question on the survey was, as the city evaluates improvements to its current strategy, what suggestions do you have to help us improve our communications effort? The most frequent answer was newsletters, more electronic information sent more frequently, public meetings, and then it's about evened out between the rest of the categories on there. As I mentioned, as to public meetings though, we have approximately 70 to 80 public meetings in this building every year based on council meetings, planning commission, EDA, parks, town hall meetings, special meetings. Maybe we don't get the word out enough, or people don't check the website enough to see when those are, but I think the one thing that we really need to work on is to see how to get more people involved in the website. Mr. Lewis did mention the fact that maybe we should utilize, or at least get some proposals from consultants to see how to better engage people, how to better reach out to them and access their skills. They can do some things maybe that we can't. So I think that's a good idea. And one of the things that I would like to propose is we find a list of some of these media people and at least get some requests for proposals out to them. Say, here's what we're looking for. Give us a proposal as to what you can do to help us solve some of our issues here, and get a cost for that and just review them. It doesn't cost anything to do that. It may be a good idea too to reach out to them, and there may be one or two of them that want to engage some of their services to help us, because the number one issue we have in this city is communicating with our residents. It's always been that way, and it always is. And it's just not unique to East Bethel, but sometimes I think we have a few more challenges since we're spread out over such a large geographic area. So I think that may be a way to at least get off the ground and find some ways that, you know, even if we're using certain things, we see that they're not being utilized by a lot of our people. So I think it's probably a good suggestion to reach out and investigate the possibilities of going down that road. So, and I'm just looking for ideas from anybody else. I did reach out to Jana King. Remember Jana? She was the one that helped us with the selection of the consultants for the broadband group. Unfortunately, she's retired now, so she said she did some of that work, but she wasn't doing it anymore. So I have asked her to give me a list of people that she might think could be useful in this endeavor, and if we get that list, then we could reach out to them. What I'd like to get some suggestion and ideas on is, you know, what do we want to tell these consultants when we request their proposals that we're looking for. We can come up with some things, but if you have any ideas, I'd certainly like to hear them.
I was under the impression that Carrie had done the website, and she straightened me out on that there was a consultant who came in and did the work. Are we still, remember, and in contact or able to contact who did that work?
Well, Civic Plus is the one that actually put the website together.
Yeah.
But there was actually a local committee that actually worked on a lot of stuff on the design of it, and they participated and helped us in that. I don't know that they would be able to help us too much as far as consulting efforts to reach out and touch somebody, but we can
Usually somebody who's a service provider like that, even though they're just the technical person who does the manipulations of the website, they usually know a lot of the people who are the actual communication consultants, because that's who contracts them.
Yeah, and we can reach out to see if they
Yeah,
have
they may
any
be able to
recommendations.
dial
yes.
us in with somebody, because I searched a couple of months back and I had poor results, a lack of interest, I would say. You know, it's kind of like, you know, they throw you a bid that doesn't make any sense and it's just like, go away, you know, so I'm sure somebody can do a better job of it than I did, so. But I'm absolutely convinced that the website, the two things, one is if it makes any sense to go to a 6-time-a-year East Bethel Bulletin would help.
Yeah.
Not every month like the Ham Laker, okay, it doesn't need to be that extreme. But 6 times a year and a beefed up website, whether or not the Facebook page stays on there, I don't really have an opinion about. That's kind of a, you know, a post-it site where you just post stuff. It's not interactive as far as I know. But definitely the website, because I think it's a good website, a good beginning for sure, and it just needs to be built out. And I'm not Mr. Cyber Whiz, so if I can manage it, it must be a pretty well-designed website. So I think it just needs to be built up a little bit more.
Well, and I agree with that too, and we need to try to figure out how to encourage and get more people to utilize that as their first contact or source of
Yeah,
information.
well, it's moving that way, and the more people who are online, period. Well, it's just very natural to go over to another site. I mean, again, if I'm using myself as a measure of those who are cyber hindered who can actually do it, it's no problem. And it's certainly, if you're online on Facebook, for example, I'd rather go to a website that had a lot of information on it than just a Facebook page that is just a poster, basically. You know, it doesn't have anything else to it. So I'm just one person's opinion, but I'm really convinced that the website is worth spending a few dollars on
Yeah.
to
Well,
build it up.
And you know, we can actually put more information on that Facebook next door page, but not everybody subscribes to Facebook.
Right.
So you need to go with something that's readily available and you don't have to sign up for.
Yeah, you gotta have more than
Yep.
one way of catching their attention, yeah.
Yeah, the website was initially called upgraded, had a massive upgrade with the website committee 2012, I want to say, is when that happened, and that gave the basic design, I want to say about 5-6 years ago, because we Civics Plus hosts it. After a time period, we can go back and have a free upgrade done on it. I want to say 5-6 years ago, we got another website committee call it together, and we reviewed
So
the
it's-
website, made changes, made updates,
So it's about time to do it again. then.
and
Yeah.
we could check in to see what our time limit is. if
Put the
we
band
are-
back together.
If we're eligible for another free upgrade, and then we can always do another review of it, and with websites it can be tricky because on your design as far as how it's laid out, because if you put too much information on it, then everything just,
Yeah, it turns into a,
yeah.
yeah,
So,
I
but
know what you mean. Yeah. Too busy.
I have heard some very good compliments. One of them being, like Jack was saying, the first contact of a potential business was through our website. And when they actually visited East Bethel, I walked into City Hall, they said, "Wow, this is East Bethel? Based on your website, I thought you were going to be a much bigger
Yeah.
town."
Yeah,
So I think it does a good job as it is. Not to say it couldn't always be better, revised, updated, pertinent information put on there, outdated information removed. One thing I would like to review with the website is this communication survey. We have the graph on there that only a few a certain amount visit a couple times a year. I would actually want to see the numbers of total visitors versus and unique visitors, and some of that data to actually analyze that. I know we used to, I think on EDA, we used to always get
Yes, we did.
a website report on that, and
Yes, that would be
uh,
interesting to see.
I don't know when it stopped happening, but
Ah.
It's called the PWIC report.
Yeah, PWIC.
Yes.
yeah. So
Was that on our city website?
the PWIC report,
That it was measuring or reporting on? Was that on the city
Um,
website?
It's an
it was
analytics.
based on the city website, but
Okay.
the report isn't available on
But
the
the
city
EDA
website.
used to get that report.
Yeah,
the
the
members of
staff
the
would-
EDA. Okay.
Staff would go in the back door of the website that shows all the stats.
Show you the metrics. Yeah.
Which
show the
pages
metrics,
they
and
visited.
Yeah.
they could get, it was like
Yeah, that is
two
something you
or
should see. We should see, I should say.
two or 3 page report that
Mhm.
we saw every month, and but that would be kind of interesting how that compares versus with our, what was it, 76 responses that we got,
Right.
or call it 75 minus Gary. That how that would compare with. I don't know how, if we could extract multiple visits versus unique visitors to determine how much it's visited.
I don't know.
I don't know that
That's
either.
why,
but-
that's why it's important to talk to somebody who's in the business who knows that stuff.
Yeah,
Because a lot of us, we have some clues, but not the whole picture, you know?
yeah, but I think
Uh,
that would be,
But if it's been a persistent issue for many years, and of course, we all knew it, nothing surprising about this or shocking or anything else, you know? But then if it's an ongoing thing, then we need to ongoing pay attention to it. And just you try to do better and better and better, you know? But clearly, the website stands out to me pretty glaringly, that's an area where you can spend, you know, not $50,000, but you can spend a little money and get some improved results.
yep, when.
And the reader sign, not put another dollar toward that.
Yeah, when the original website committee looked through multiple different sites and what they offered, and
Yeah.
Civic Plus, they weren't the cheapest, but I think they were the best. They offered the best quality and the best tools.
Yeah,
And I
well,
think that's why they were chosen. So they're not the cheapest, but I think we get the best result with it.
I gave up that point of view a long time ago that cheaper is better. It's
Yeah.
definitely not true in tools. I can
Mhm.
validate that idea for sure if you work with tools. That's not a place you save money, is you pay for it down the road. So, but they did a nice job, and they deserve a first crack at it, in my opinion.
Yeah,
'Cause
so.
they did right by us.
So
Do they deal with just municipalities, LGUs? Do they also
Civic
do
Plus.
it- Huh?
Civic Plus?
The company
Yeah,
that
yeah.
helped us out the first time?
Yes.
Civic Plus, I think that's largely their clientele is
That's-
municipalities.
That's their core business clients.
Yes.
Well, they
Is
should have a
municipalities.
tremendous amount of ideas, yeah.
Because
Excuse me.
Okay, and I'll come back and I'll be a contrarian because it's what I am. I have a son-in-law. One of my son-in-laws is the director of internet sales for a large regional broadcaster out of St. Cloud, radio broadcaster. He is the guy that is the sales director there. And the things that he was talking about some of the things that they put on websites for their clients, where it's unbelievable how they basically spy on the people that click on the website for that business, be it a marine dealer or whatever, and they can structure every ad that they send at them for that business. I mean, I'm probably, if Kevin, if you and I race to the bottom to see who's the most Neanderthal computer user, It'd be interesting to see who gets there first. But, I mean, the stuff that he's throwing out there and the things that they
Yeah,
can do
yeah.
are just absolutely amazing. And I would think that should be able to also be applied to the government sector insofar as not looking at
Well, you
what
raise an
people's
interesting point.
algorithms are,
Yeah, you
or
raise an
developing
interesting
algorithms, but
Actually, at the end, the way I'm thinking about it is a liability point, because we can't do that. If we were to use our website to spy on our residents,
Well,
that wouldn't go over at all.
spy is not
Pretty
a proper,
sure.
spy is probably not the proper term to
Oh,
use,
no,
but
yeah.
you know what I'm saying, how, I mean, right, my phone this afternoon told me something that I had
Yeah.
no idea I was that seriously interested in
yeah,
shopping
yeah.
for.
That's scary,
yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
Um,
That's because your phone listens to you.
When do they release AI on us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I look at, I mean, basically, I look at how improved, how improved the website is.
Yeah.
And it, for me, I can navigate it, which speaks
Easily.
highly of the simplicity of it.
Easily, yeah.
Yeah,
That was
it's
that was my point. You said it better than I did.
And the only issue I ever have, and I don't know if it's on my internet connection or if it's the server here, is that sometimes I get locked up. You know, it just doesn't move forward. But you know,
are you still using Windows 95? You might have to update a couple things.
Mundle, you do know what my email address is, don't you?
AOL.com.
You got it.
AOL.
Yep. All my work emails, they all went away. That one has stayed with me.
So whoever we get, I think one of the things we should ask them is, and I know this is possible because web designers do it, how that when anybody in our zip code opens the internet, East Bethel website is right on the top of Google or Explorer or whatever they're using. So they can make it so that our city website pops up at the zip code. So if we want more interaction, that's going to be the first thing they're going to see, and they're going to say, oh, I've always wanted to go there. I keep forgetting, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, they've got tricks for pushing.
Yeah.
You pay to push. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, that one goal then in our coming future can be forming another website committee, and Brian, maybe if you want to talk to your son-in-law, if you want to talk to your son-in-law, maybe he might want to come volunteer at one meeting. And
Joe may be willing to, but you don't need to drop a boat anchor like me on
We need
over
the
the side to try to
Neanderthal
hit-
point of view.
Yeah, you don't.
We want
Well,
the Neanderthal perspective.
you'd be the user statistic. If it works for you, then it works
Yeah.
for everybody.
I can be a
The
test
baseline.
The
user.
test
Yeah.
user.
Test
Yeah.
user, but yeah.
I'm just wondering, and I completely agree about, I mean, the newsletter. So was it 86% of the people got their
Yeah.
news from the newsletter? So if we can figure out a way to use the newsletter to draw people to the website,
Exactly.
and I'm just wondering about the content and if so who prepares the newsletter? Is it staff? Does council
Carrie.
get input?
And Jack.
Carrie
right?
Frost is the primary preparer of the newsletter.
Okay.
You know, people give her articles, but she's the one that does the final assembly, the placement of it on the pages, and the editing of it, and she's also a contributing editor too, so. But
Okay.
she's the one that gets all the credit for the newsletter.
Well, you'd have to give a person a reason to go from the newsletter to the website. some sort of piece of information.
Right.
Have
It's
a
like-
contest.
Or.
Read the rest,
Prize.
read the rest of this article on our,
Yeah.
on our
Exactly.
website. If
Learn
you wanna know
more-
how the story ends.
Learn more about this new development
Yeah.
on the city's webpage.
Yeah.
Click. and then-
Something like that, you gotta give them a
Right.
reason. So, just one suggestion for the newsletter.
Exactly, yeah, that contest,
That's a very good idea,
prizes.
though, it's cross-fertilizing like that,
Right,
yeah.
just let's figure out a way to
And that's
get.
the thing, the people who are in the business, it's second nature to them, how to
Mhm.
do all that stuff, you know. That's why I like using consultants here and there, you don't have to put somebody full-time on staff, you just rent their knowledge, and it's a very efficient way to get things done,
Mhm.
if it's the right consultant,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this consultant can even give us advice. If they're a true communications consultant, take a look at our newsletter, you know, are we
Yeah,
communicating correctly and,
And you know, this discussion shouldn't be just a 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 meeting thing. This should be an ongoing
Yeah.
evaluation.
I agree.
right,
We have a tendency sometimes to get improvements up to a point, then we get sidetracked on another thing, but the communications item is one thing that should continually demand their attention.
And it's actually broader than what we're talking about, because what you were talking about with the business retention and expansion ultimately is a communication issue.
exactly.
So you can broaden it out, so it may, again, it's all part and parcel of the same function, and that is our ability to represent and accommodate the residents of the city. That's really the goal, so.
It is
It's
a
all
bit
tied together.
tricky. It
Hmm?
is a bit tricky to figure out, though, how to reach certain residents, because some residents
Oh.
may not want to connect with the internet, they may just not want to use it, they may rather show up at council meetings.
Yep.
So, you know, so everybody, and it may depend too on, you know, the age of your residents, all of that. I mean, so,
No, you're right, one method isn't gonna do it.
right.
It's gotta
Right.
be a multiple cylinders to fire on, yeah.
Well, from what I'm hearing, we'll contact Civic Plus. We'll start kind of seeing if we can get a handle on some communications consultants and maybe prepare like a kind of a draft RFP for the EDA to review so we can see if we want to send that out. And then as a group too, like Brian said, we might want to come up with a little committee to come up with some ideas on this communications piece. I think that would be a good thing to have, and or just make it an ongoing discussion of our meetings here every month, come up with some ideas, so.
Yeah, another thought is, I know about some of the bigger cities, they have people dedicated just to communications, they have people dedicated just to social media, they have someone dedicated just to the Twitter account. We unfortunately don't have that or have the capacity for that, but once we get into the mix of this and start figuring some stuff out, if there would be somebody that could come in once a week or once a month or twice a month and update the website if we need changes, update any communications.
Yeah, communications director, yeah.
Not necessarily director, but somebody just to, so
Consultant,
everything's not
whatever.
on Carrie's shoulders.
Yeah.
That's, I just don't want to put too much on her.
No, that's something we have to be very mindful, is human resources are easily stretched too thin.
Mhm.
Yeah, and believe me, on the council, the current council, we are mindful of that. Just, you know, even though I ask you to make a case for an increase in job status or pay or whatever, it's just not my job to make that case, that's why I asked you to make it. And, you made it strongly, you know, I will say. So it's just, you know, it's iron sharpens iron, you know, you gotta work with each other to get the best results.
Well, and then too, when you add staff, you have to make sure that you're adding them for a real need and they're gonna be employed to their full use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a balancing.
Yeah, that way, we get somebody come in, say twice a month, and we have a full list so that they can work a full day for one day, and if there is such a person or company that does that. So, just a thought.
Might be some retired communications expert, you know.
Could be
just
that
wants
too.
to make some minnow money, as
Mhm.
the old guys call it, you know. Work with a few clients, a few municipalities, and
Yep.
20 hours a month, and it that takes care of them, you know.
Gives them something to do.
Yeah, it's interesting.
All right, did we talk that one to death yet?
Anything else?
Just one last thing on the last page for those who actually read the notes that followed the charts and all that. At the end of this section, when it said Lewis noted the survey was his idea and he believed it was tremendously valuable and he was glad it was done. That's my attempt at humor, just so you know that. You guys don't know me, but I don't take myself seriously at all, so that was a joke. But it was written like it was really, I really seriously meant it.
When you see it in writing,
Yeah. Anyway,
Noted.
just to let you guys know, as a follow-up to the communication survey, in the next East Bethel Bulletin is a community vision kind of interactive thing where it states what are the vision statements out of our 2040 comp plan. Are these still our vision statements? And just ask, because we have a turnover of people in East Bethel. People die, people move away, people move in, people are born, you know. We don't really need to hear from the infants for this one, but it's just asking, are these still what our community vision is for what we want to see the East Bethel be in the future? And the easiest place to start was with those 6 or 7 statements that was done with a focus group and with, you know, a variety of input when the comp plan was last worked on. And we'll start from there, and it gives something for people to think about, talk about, and react to. So just mentioning that.
All right. If anything else, we can, so you've got what you need from us, just the suggestions, and,
Yes,
all right.
thank you very much.
Sounds good. We'll go to item number 6, business activity report.
The following is a summary of development projects in the city and our discussions with potential business locates and expansion that has occurred, should be since May the 15th, 2023. The Holiday Station project at the intersection of 187th Lane and Highway 65 is on schedule with an anticipated completion date by the end of July of 2023. The Elevage project is on schedule. Roads and utility work should begin by the end of this month, and the first phase of the housing component is scheduled to start this fall. All DNR wetland matters relating to the Quick Trip project have been resolved, and Quick Trip began construction on June 1st, 2023. Completion of this project is scheduled by November 9th, 2023. The city conducted a public hearing on June 12, 2023 regarding the conduit bond issuance for Nexus, the purchase of the Cambia Hills property. Negotiations between Nexus and ISD 15 are continuing to resolve concerns of the school district. The new operator would offer the same psychological residential youth treatment service as was provided by Cambia Hills. The approval of the city's participation in the bond issuance has been tabled and will be reconsidered at the June 26 council meeting. A reopening would restore this vital service and 90 jobs that were lost with the closure of Cambia Hills of East Bethel in May of 2021. Staff attended the East Bethel Chamber of Commerce meeting on May 11th, 2023 and provided a BRNE update and invited chamber members to the May 15th, 2023 meeting. That will be followed up with their July meeting for our July EDA meeting. Designing Earth Contracting, 18651 Buchanan Street is in the process of relocating to and constructing a new building at 18800 Ulysses Street. They will present their development concept plan to the Planning Commission at their June 27th, 2023 meeting and are proposing to begin construction by mid-July 2023. The City Council and Planning Commission will hold a special joint work meeting on June 21st, 2023 to receive a proposed concept plan for the redevelopment of the Viking Meadows Golf Course into a 300 to 400 unit residential community. This project is proposed by Capstone Development of Ramsey, Minnesota, and if approved, could commence construction in the winter of 2024. Staff has received 3 inquiries regarding the purchase of Hunter's End, has worked with the Stone Group on a proposal for their outlots at 209th Avenue and Johnson Street, has worked with Alan Goldman's mining permit site preparation for a proposed greenhouse garden center north of 209th Avenue on Highway 65, worked with Steve Stratton on a meets and bounds subdivision at 221st Avenue and Luan Drive, and received a concept plan for the addition of 7 new lots to propose Hidden Pines subdivision on East Bethel Boulevard. So even in today's economy, things are still moving forward, and there's quite a few projects on the drawing board that may be getting ready to happen.
Thank you. I'm
Jack?
so excited about that greenhouse. That's a great place, and to have them right on the highway.
I'm gonna have to have a part-time job after.
Yes.
She's, yeah, she takes both girls to Goldman's and.
That place is
It
wonderful.
just, so Jack, is there any leads where Designing Earth is moving out of on a 186 Buchanan? Is there any,
Not at this time. They actually lease that building.
I know that.
So I'm sure that the owners are probably actively trying to attract a tenant, and it wouldn't surprise me if it would surprise me if it stayed vacant very long.
Good.
Very good. Anything else? Comments? Questions? Thank you, Jack. All right, we can move on to city council report.
Thank you. I got a couple things. At our work meeting, we talked about a handful of stuff. One of them is electrical permits. Our inspections for the city will now be done by the state. We did have an independent person doing them, but at this juncture, we decided that there's no added benefit to doing it that way anymore. So we decided to switch over and should save a little bit of money. Not that the independent person cost anything, but it just in staff time where they had to address review permits. That's about all. At the work meeting, we discussed the community development position with Mr. Aaron Berg. And hopefully we can get that resolved pretty quick here. We reviewed some code enforcement cases. Some stuff is being solved, some stuff is being forwarded to the courts. So hopefully we can get resolution on some of these that have been ongoing for a while now. At our last council meeting, we had a public hearing for the Nexus conduit bond. After discussion, the item was tabled. Hopefully by the next meeting, we can have all the issues worked out and hopefully get it approved, because that would be a great savings to the citizens. By doing the bonding, it prevents $3 million from being put on taxpayer shoulders. Question?
Do you have an update insofar as has Nexus and Superintendent Anderson and had any further meetings and discussions?
I know that they have been in communication, but I don't know to what extent.
The result is?
I don't know to what extent that anything, but hopefully at the next meeting we should have some more info, because I believe that staff has reached out and invited them to make sure that their voices are heard at the next meeting.
Brian, they've had at least 2 meetings. Both of them have been extremely complimentary. The other, I think they're trying to work this out in a spirit of cooperation, but they haven't reached any real major milestones in some of their negotiations, but they're continuing to speak, and I think that Nexus would like to get something worked out, and I know the school board would too. There's a lot of issues on the school board side, and I think one of the bigger issues, and with my talks with them, is that they're worried, just like everybody else is, about staffing issues. And hiring teachers just to fill their general curriculum needs are very difficult, let alone hiring new staff to provide this secondary educational component service that would have to be offered to those people that would be at the Nexus facility is kind of, I think, really a major concern of theirs.
It's unbelievable how hard it is to get help these days for things.
Yeah, that's industry-wide. It's not just for
That's kind of,
schools.
it is, yeah. It's,
So, and it's the normal ebb and flow of having either too many workers or too many jobs, and it constantly, overtime changes. So hopefully, well, we'll see what the future brings us with that. The next item, I'm sure everybody wants to know about. The city attorney briefed council on the cannabis bill that was passed by the state. Essentially, he said, we don't know a whole lot yet. We don't want to form any rules on it yet until it's studied more. And more than likely, we may pass a moratorium on it for 1 year to study it and pull something together. Other than that, Booster Day is coming up, third weekend in July already.
Wow.
So, hope everybody can attend. We got all the good stuff and fireworks, and I think pancake breakfast is back, and so, other than that, Kevin, do you have anything?
Nothing to add, Brian, good wrap up.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
so
I'll make,
moved.
second.
I'll second it. This,
All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.
Love it, good meeting.